As the investigation continues, how much is this a damaging effect on Samsung within South Korea? How is Asia reacting to all of this?
Well, we have to keep in mind that actually for South Koreans, this would not be something out of line. Many South Korean business leaders in the past, including Jay Lee's father, have been convicted of white-collar crimes. Jay Lee's father, Chairman Lee Kun-hee, the Samsung chairman, was convicted twice of white-collar crimes. And because of his economic benefit for the nation, he was given two presidential pardons by two separate presidents, one in the 1990s and one in the late 2000s. And he continued his chairmanship throughout his life. He's now incapacitated from a heart attack, and his son is preparing to take that chairmanship most likely. He's now the vice chairman, so he's technically the second in command of the empire, even though he's leading in fact.
Yeah. So, Troy, elaborate therefore, even if this isn't that much of a surprise potentially to those in South Korea, how much should international investors and consumers brace themselves for change within Samsung on the back of this investigation?
Well, I think initially you won't see much change at Samsung. This is a company that the family's controlled for a very long time. They have a plan, and even if he were to face continued legal issues, I think you'll see that plan continue. More broadly, though, I think the larger question, at least for investors, will be, are the prosecutors able to actually tie Samsung to the government in taking and coercing it to vote for the merger through the National Pension Fund? And I think that's going to be the real key for investors going forward.
So, Geoffrey, how do you react to that? If that is the key question, how more broadly does this affect conglomerates within South Korea? Are we going to see a changing of the relationship between the government and these huge conglomerates?
It's hard to tell at this point. It actually is very traditional in South Korea for businesses to give donations and sometimes even bribes to government officials. You know, this is something that goes back decades, that goes back into the country's authoritarianism in the past. Businesses give favors to the government, and the government gives favors to these businesses. That's how the South Korean nation was built originally, with this nexus of business and politics. And really, with these allegations, we're seeing this question over whether, Samsung was coerced, into giving a donation to this crony, or whether, Samsung willfully went into this, trying to get benefits, for this merger that was going to happen, trying to get the National Pension Service to vote for that 2015 merger that got JY Lee more shareholding power.
Troy, I think it's fascinating, having read through your notes before, you actually feel that perhaps this isn't the particular leader to be bashing right now, because as it goes, JY Lee is relatively progressive compared to many within the conglomerates in South Korea. Will we see change if he actually is indeed ousted?
Yeah, that's the interesting thing about this story. If you look at Samsung and what he's done since he's come into power, he's essentially made it much more progressive. He's taken and allowed employees to not necessarily address each other by title. He's asked that his own guards not bow to him, which is something which is traditional in South Korea. He's really tried to loosen the company up and move it more towards sort of international standards. There's still more to do, but it's something that he's pushed forward. And if you also look at him and you compare him, say, for example, Korean Air, to where we saw the nut rage incident last year, he's a much more humble, much more laid-back individual. And so if he were to be brought down by something that was very much sort of an old-school Korean type of scandal, I think it would actually be very detrimental, because one, the question becomes, how would these reforms stay at Samsung? And two, because of Samsung's importance to the broader economy, it's also sort of a symbol of the way other chaebols should go. And so would that then take and hold back reforms in other chaebols as well?
Yeah. A quick last one for you, Geoffrey. How much do you think this will change rivals? How much will Samsung be as important to the economy going forward?
Yes, I think Samsung will be. It does make up a huge slice of the South Korean economy and its exports. Even without JY Lee, the company does have a very strong reputation in the electronics industry for making great hardware, for being reliable. If you're Apple, if you're some other company and you need to put in an order for, parts for displays, for semiconductors, Samsung is often one of the first choices, because they can make things fast. They can make it faster than a lot of other companies can, and they make it at very, very high quality. And, in hardware, they often do get this reputation as a fast follower, but in hardware, they're often at the leading edge.